Hello there and welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I'm your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now today you join me again in Oak Lodge, which is my small hut in the English woodland, and that's because the weather is too bad for me to be outdoors. There's a bit of a storm blowing through the UK at the moment and you can probably hear it battering the outside of the hut. Hopefully it won't be too distracting, and we're just going to get on with today's video anyway, because we don't let the elements hold us back, because we are chaps. Now today I'm going to be answering a question from one of our viewers, and here it is. It's a question from a chap called Sam, and I'll explain what that is in a moment. But Sam, well, really he's tapping into an area where I have a strong and profound interest, and that's men's tailoring, because if you're a regular viewer you will be aware I frequently make reference to the fact that some of the best tailoring in the world emanates from that most famous street in central London, of course, of Savile Row. Now Savile Row has attained this inassailable reputation as the bastion of men's tailoring wherever you are in the world. It is the home of the elite tailor for gentlemen, and if you want a bespoke garment made to your exact specifications, there can be no better place to go. And for that reason Sam has written to us, and here is Sam's question. Well, he says to us, "Hey Ash, love the channel and all your insights into classic menswear. I am a 26-year-old man on the sartorial journey in New Zealand, and I would love to pose a question to you. I used to work in menswear and trained in made-to-measure tailoring, but am currently employed in real estate. I am potentially wanting to return to the tailoring side of menswear after discovering it was my true passion. As London and UK tailoring is the hallmark for classic and timeless style, specifically Savile Row, I would love to move to London one day to work in a tailoring house. What would be your advice for somebody wanting to make classic menswear and tailoring his career? Many thanks, from Sam." Well, that's a great question, Sam. Okay, now Sam has asked a really good question there, but before we answer it, I think it's worth reflecting for just a moment on the extent of the job which we're talking about here. Working in bespoke men's tailoring is almost an art form. It's not just going to work and doing a job. It is a vocation that will take many years to achieve that level of expertise, to serve the needs of people who've got a lot of money to spend and they expect the absolute epitome of tailoring when they get a new suit made or a new item of clothing. So let's for a moment reflect upon the many steps which actually make up men's tailoring. Well, first of all, if you're interested, shall we say for a moment that I'm interested in purchasing a bespoke suit. And in fact, that's probably the wrong word. You don't purchase a bespoke suit, you commission it, because it is being made exactly for you. It will fit nobody else. This is a unique garment that is perfect in every way for you as an individual. And that journey begins with an initial consultation in the tailoring house of your choice. Now there are many different tailoring houses which operate from Savile Row, and all will have unique hallmarks in the particular characteristics of the clothing that they manufacture. When you've done a bit of research and you decide that one holds the key to the future appearance that you seek to arrive at, that's when you have an initial consultation. Now this is where you will meet one of the cutters, one of the tailors. You will talk about what your goal is, what you seek. They will undoubtedly ask you many questions about how the garment is going to be worn, what's your particular requirements of it, your style, the time of year that you're going to wear it, what you want that garment to do for you. And this is the beginning of a relationship, and it's a really important part of that bespoke tailoring process. Now, after that initial consultation, which of course will have involved taking your measurements, then a pattern will be created. Now, the pattern is essentially a template, often made of paper, which will be used to create the different panels and elements which will go together to make that bespoke garment that you're seeking to get. And every element of this process will be overseen by the cutter, the tailor, who's looking after you. They will look after you from that initial meeting right through to the delivery of your garment. So once that template is made, that's when a rough cut is made. A sort of initial garment will be created for your first fitting. Now, once your garment has been all cut by hand using those templates, it will be sewn together, and then we will have what we call the base fitting. This is the initial time that you will try on the elements, the sort of skeleton of the garment which is on its journey to becoming your bespoke suit. And this is where the cutter and yourselves will analyze the fit. Is there something that doesn't feel right? Is there something you'd like a little longer? Remember, every single element of this garment can be personalized for you. If you like something a little heavier, a little lighter, a little closer to the armpit, whatever it may be, nothing is impossible, because this garment is created purely at your whim. You know, you're not, as you would if you were buying a garment off the rack, having to conform to an existing suit and perhaps having it altered a little bit. With a bespoke garment, everything is created exactly for you. And in this base fitting, this is where the first elements of the fit come together in that perfect meld of the suit that you have in your mind. Now, after the fitting, all of those panels, all of those items from your template garment will be taken apart, and then when you're happy with everything, it will go along to the makers. Now, the makers are the people who do the sewing, and they will sew your garment together. Now, some of these makers may have been in the business for many, many years and have incredible expertise in the formulation of these garments. You know, to work as a maker on, say, a coat, it can take anything from 4 to 6 years to achieve the competency required in that profession. So this is where the true skill and craftsmanship of Savile Row is brought to bear on the garment that one day you will wear as your bespoke suit. Now, everything has been stitched together. You might think we're coming close to the end, but not yet. Next, there is the forward fitting. This is where you try on your almost completed garment, and again with your cutter, who by this point, which could be several weeks or months down the road to get to this stage, you will have formed a relationship. They will understand what you're seeking, what you're looking for, and they will appreciate the taste that you have and the things you would like to see in that garment. Together, you will analyze the fit and apply any final adjustments. And when you've reached this stage, well, we're pretty much towards the end of a finished garment. Any final hand stitching will be applied, things like the buttonholes and any last finishing touches. And it is ready for delivery. Now you've got your suit and you have a wonderful bespoke garment which will fit you perfectly like a glove, and will certainly make you look like $1 million in whatever situation you intend to wear that garment. And of course, now you've been through this process at the tailors, they have your pattern, the template that was used to create your suit. So should you wish to order future suits, they've already got 9/10 of the job done. Of course, you'll have to have fittings and have, consultations, but a lot of the work will have been completed. So it makes it a lot easier if you're going to be a repeat customer, which can be an important thing to many people who buy a bespoke suit. Now you may be thinking, rightly so, this is very labor intensive. It requires the skills of some of the most talented tailors in the world. This is an art form. It is not quite simply, knocking some clothes up on a sewing machine. And it's going to be expensive. Everything of good quality, which is worth having, normally comes with a price. And the cost of a bespoke suit from Savile Row typically will begin at around about the £5,000 mark. This will, involve or certainly be determined by the material that you use, the type of suit that you're having. It'll vary entirely. But as a rule of thumb, if you're ever looking to save money on a bespoke suit and somebody offers you a bespoke suit and it costs, say, less than £4,000, what you're talking to is somebody who's a charlatan, because really it is impossible to provide the quality and the level of craftsmanship for anything less than that price point. So this is the process of making a bespoke suit, and this is what our viewer Sam wants to make his vocation. So now that we know what the bespoke tailoring process is like, I think we have an idea of perhaps how difficult it may be to work in that business. So to get an idea of how to break into it, I reached out to a contact on Savile Row itself to get the information from the mouth of people who actually employ young tailors and start them off in the business. So I reached out to Dejan Skinner. Now, Dejan Skinner are perhaps one of the more famous and reputable tailoring houses on Savile Row. They've been in existence there for 157 years. Still in family ownership today, so one of only 2 tailoring houses still in consistent family ownership. And they are a classic British men's tailors, basically. Their reputation stems from making both military attire and also civilian attire, and they have decked out some of the most famous people in the world. As an example, some of their civilian customers have included David Bowie, Michael Jackson, the pop star, and even Gianni Versace, one of the more sort of hallowed names within the men's fashion world. When it comes to even higher, loftier positions than those, Dejan Skinner also hold the royal warrant from Her Majesty the Queen, and they do provide uniforms and other items for the royal household. They also hold the royal warrant for the Sultan of Oman and the King of Bahrain. And I believe, famously, they made 120 uniforms or liveries for the camels of the Royal Oman Mounted Police Pipe Band. So remarkable, the reach of a small tailoring house in Savile Row. It is absolutely amazing. They also famously made the dress uniforms, which were worn by both Prince William and Prince Harry on the occasion of Prince Harry's wedding to Meghan Markle in 2018. And they also made the sort of miniature pageboy outfits. So this is where their reputation stems from. They are without doubt one of the greatest tailoring houses on Savile Row. And if you were to commission a bespoke suit from Dejan Skinner, it would be in the region of, starting point, about £5,000. An off-the-rack suit, because you can also buy off the rack, would set you back about £1,000, with a blazer around about £800. So high-level tailoring, high prices, which means that the standard required of the young tailors is absolutely at the zenith of men's clothing anywhere in the world. Okay, so in answer to Sam's question, I have, of course, this letter here from Cass, who's one of the team up in Dejan Skinner. And I'm going to read you exactly what she has said. So, dear Ashley, thanks for your email to Bespoke Tailor and Bespoke Shirt Maker Dejan Skinner. Having watched one of your most recent videos, it's a great watch. So, Sam's question from New Zealand is an interesting one. We're often asked how someone might go about starting a career on Savile Row, and as you might imagine, competition for roles is extremely fierce because of the Row's reputation for being the bastion of bespoke tailoring for men. A trusted reputation that Savile Row has held for about 200 years. Were Sam to be located in England, we would advise him, or indeed her, because both males and females work in the tailoring houses, to come along to Savile Row itself. Walk into the various bespoke tailoring houses to introduce themselves, inquire about vacancies and what opportunities are open. Be persistent. Examples of your work could also be brought along and shown at this times, as well as references and recommendations from respected tailors and makers in the trade that you may have encountered, perhaps teachers and instructors in any colleges or other places where you've worked. At Deej & Skinner, we currently have a number of apprentices who have been highly recommended to us, either by their mentors or tutors whilst learning their craft. Word of mouth reputation means an awful lot in the bespoke trade. As Sam is based overseas, however, this may be challenging for him to do. In this case, we would look to a wealth of experience gained locally in Sam's locality. Then look at that experience once the said person was actually residing in the UK and available to work legally. This would be a significant risk for the individual, but no way around it, unfortunately. I hope that helps. Don't hesitate to ask any further questions about Savile Row or Bespoke Tailoring. Kind regards, Cass, on behalf of Deej & Skinner. So there we go, from the horse's mouth itself. There's nothing easy about becoming a bespoke tailor, as one might have imagined. But, you will have the opportunity to work in the greatest tailoring houses in the world, serving some of the most, highest stature clients in the world, royalty, celebrities, and you will be involved in the creation of art, because I think it's fair to say a suit from Savile Row is not just a suit, it is a work of art. And as you would expect, these apprenticeship processes take time. We know that once you're employed by one of the great houses, you will be placed through the Savile Row apprenticeship scheme. This is where your work follows a strict pattern, and you will acquire competency in the various different areas of your journey towards becoming a tailor. To give you an example, to become a cutter, the apprenticeship is between 4 to 6 years. To make the coats, the jackets of a suit, it is 3 to 5 years, and the trousers would take 2 to 3 years to achieve the level that is expected of an apprenticeship in Savile Row. So this is not a quick thing. It's going to take excessively over 10 years probably to get those skills that you need to call yourself a bespoke tailor in one of the great fashion houses in Savile Row. What are the rewards, you may well ask, for all this effort? Well, besides working in a vocation which is, as we say, an art form, there is the financial remuneration. Having looked it up and sought some advice, I've been instructed that it is not uncommon for the highest level bespoke tailors to perhaps earn in excess of £50,000 per year. Maybe it doesn't sound that much for the amount of effort taken to achieve that level, but when you consider that the average wage in the UK for an average person is £32,000, as you can see, it reflects the fact that it is a skilled job, and you're serving people who are perhaps high net worth individuals, and if you achieve the very highest levels, well, anything is possible. So there we go, Sam. I hope I have been able to answer your question in as round a fashion as possible, and you now feel that you're ready to think more about becoming a bespoke tailor. Surely there will be some twists and turns, some obstacles to overcome, but like all great adventurers, the reward is off in the distance, yes, but will be magnificent when achieved. I hope you have found today's video of interest. I'd like to thank Cass from Deej & Skinner at Savile Row. Thanks for the advice, and I will be coming back for more advice if we need it on this topic again. If you have enjoyed the video, I would of course be delighted if you gave us a thumbs up. If you are not a member, click the red button, come us on the journey as a subscriber, and if you'd like to practically support the channel, of course, you can buy me a coffee, and the Buy Me a Coffee page, the link is in the show notes below. So, until the next time, take care of yourselves, fantasize about the day that we will make it to Savile Row and commission our own bespoke suit. But until then, see you soon.